Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, what happens if nuclear war breaks out? Can we survive the possible effects? What happens if a nuclear bomb is used in Ukraine? I'm going to talk about these issues, so if you're ready, let's get started. What happens if nuclear war breaks out? Almost 80 years ago, in August 1945, the United States dropped 2 atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. As a result, 210,000 people lost their lives. This marked the beginning of a terrifying new era known as the Atomic Age. Since then, the threat of nuclear war has not gone away. Nuclear explosions are one of the most powerful and destructive events our species has ever witnessed. The power of nuclear bombs is measured in kilotons and megatons. These prefixes stand for thousand and million. This is the equivalent of a standard explosive of trinitrotoluene. The bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki were 15 to 20 kilotons. It is known as the Tsar bomb, the largest and most effective nuclear bomb ever produced in the world. Also known as RDS-220 or RDS-202, it was produced during the Cold War on the orders of Nikita Khrushchev, the leader of the Soviet Union. It is a hydrogen fusion bomb tested on October 30, 1961. Although the physical weight of this bomb is 27 tons, it is equivalent to 50 million tons of explosives, which is 10 times the total amount of bombs used by all sides in World War II for 6 years. There are 9 countries in the world known to possess nuclear weapons. These are China, France, India, Israel, North Korea, Pakistan, Russia, the USA, and the UK. Although the exact numbers are classified, it is estimated that there are about 19,000 nuclear warheads in total. What should we understand when we talk about nuclear war? A nuclear war is a war in which nuclear weapons are used. In history, nuclear weapons have only been used twice and unilaterally by the United States against Japan. Today, the term is used when nuclear-armed and opposing states threaten each other. Russia has 5,997 warheads, the mechanism that triggers a nuclear explosion. But this number includes around 1,500 warheads that have been scrapped or ordered to be dismantled. Most of the remaining 4,500 or so warheads are ballistic missiles or rockets. These are strategic nuclear weapons that can strike over long distances. It is the use of these weapons that should be understood when we talk about nuclear war. The military preference for medium and long-range missiles is that they are disposable, 10 times faster than sound, and independent of the pilot's training and skills. Experts estimate that around 1,500 warheads are currently deployed on land bases or submarines, ready to be used. What happens when a bomb explodes? About 40% of the energy will be emitted as thermal radiation, that is heat. We can interpret this as the sun landing on the Earth, right above our heads, for 1 to 2 seconds. This light will temporarily or permanently blind those who look at it. It burns people and anything that can burn. However, if you are some distance away from the center of the explosion and you are in the shadow of some material, for example concrete, you can survive these seconds and be protected from this effect to some extent. Suppose a 10 kiloton bomb is detonated in the air. Let's put one end of the compass at the point on the map directly below the bomb. Let's open the compass to show 600 meters. The inside of the circle we will draw will be completely flattened by the shock wave. Now let's extend the compass 1.8 kilometers. 90% of those exposed to direct thermal radiation in this area will die within a few hours from third-degree burns. Approximately 45% of the energy is the shock wave caused by the expansion of the suddenly heated air. This effect is similar to that of conventional explosives. However, it covers a much larger area. To maximize the destructive effect of this shock wave, bombs are detonated in the air. The remaining energy is converted into nuclear radiation and fallout. What happens in the event of nuclear war? The shockwave and heat from the explosion of a single nuclear weapon would instantly end the lives of millions of people. But the destruction that follows a nuclear war is even greater. The first cause is nuclear fallout. radioactive dust from exploding bombs rises into the atmosphere. It then spreads from where it falls to large parts of the world. This means that radiation levels rise all over the world. But there is a lesser-known problem. It is believed to be the most serious consequence of a possible nuclear war. From a firestorm, huge columns of smoke and soot rise above burning cities. It then travels up into the stratosphere. At this great height, far above the clouds, it does not rain. This means it will stay there for years, darkening the sky and thus cooling the planet. The nuclear winter that would follow a large-scale nuclear war would cause temperatures in many parts of the world to drop by 20 or even 30 degrees Celsius. Eventually, famine would set in. This would mean that billions of people would starve to death. In short, a nuclear war does not only harm the attacked country. It devastates all countries, including the aggressor. Is a nuclear war possible? Since the end of the Cold War, the total number of weapons has fallen by nearly 80%, from an estimated 70,300 in 1986. But there are still many nuclear bombs. No leader, democratic or authoritarian, can afford to be the first to use nuclear weapons unless it is a matter of the survival of his entire people. Because this could lead to his country being labeled for centuries, even millennia to come, as the country that brought the apocalypse to the world. But it is also important to keep this in mind. Once a taboo has been broken, it requires a much lower psychological barrier to break it a second time. What are the determinants of destruction? The devastation caused by a nuclear weapon depends largely on how and where it is used. Dylan Spalding, a senior scientist in the Global Security Program of the US-based Union of Concerned Scientists, explained why. Nuclear weapons that explode in the air have different effects than weapons that explode on the ground, Spalding said, adding, "That's when you have to worry, because the Earth is actually radioactively activated as a result." Strategic objective effects results. Dylan Spalding explained that different nuclear weapons can be used for different strategic objectives, and that a nuclear weapon exploding in the air can kill many people at the same time, while the long-term impact of radiation on the environment and the surrounding population will be less. A nuclear bomb detonated close to the Earth's surface, however, could kill large numbers of people and damage the environment, water, and food supplies. Moreover, the traces of the devastation caused could remain for years. Spalding's account is illustrated by the U.S. atomic bombs dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima in 1945 and the Chernobyl accident in Ukraine in 1986. However, the bombs released about 40 times less radiation into the environment than the Chernobyl accident in 1986. But they killed far more people, hundreds of thousands more. Today, in both Nagasaki and Hiroshima, people can live safely without fear of radiation. However, the area where the Chernobyl accident occurred is still uninhabitable today, and there is a ban on entering the area. One of the effects of the 1945 bombings was the extraordinary increase in the incidence of leukemia among people in the surrounding areas, especially children. To a lesser extent, other cancers have also increased. Some studies have also examined the long-term effects of radiation. According to the results of these studies, children who were still in the womb when the explosions occurred and those born some time later were found to have smaller heads, slower physical growth, and mental disabilities. This was not observed to the same extent in children born to women who were not pregnant at the time of the bombings, but became pregnant later. Food supply disruption could kill billions. Today, many studies are being conducted on the consequences of the use of a nuclear weapon. A study published in Nature in August revealed striking results. Researchers analyzed the potential impact on the environment, population, and the global food supply if Russia and the United States were to engage in a week-long nuclear war using strategic nuclear weapons. According to the study, approximately 360 million people could die from nuclear weapons in the first phase. The researchers also estimate that a one-week nuclear war would also wreak havoc on the food supply due to the fires it would cause, leaving more than 5 billion people without food for 2 years. This corresponds to about 60% of the world's population. What happens if a nuclear bomb is used in Ukraine? According to estimates of the devastation caused by a nuclear war between the US and Russia, 360 million people could lose their lives and 60% of the world's population could lose access to food for 2 years. Two scenarios come to mind regarding the Ukrainian war and the nuclear threat it poses. One is an accident at a nuclear power plant, and the other is the use of nuclear weapons. Once it starts, there is no stopping it. Professor Alan Robach from Rutgers University in the US is one of the scientists who authored this research. In previous research, Robach had estimated that the smoke emitted by the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs was about 0.5 teragrams. In the latest study, they estimated that a nuclear war between Russia and the United States could result in the release of 150 teragrams of smoke, while a war between India and Pakistan could result in the release of between 16 and 47 teragrams of smoke. Responding to questions from DW, Robach said that the paper reflects estimates based on the impact of strategic weapons, i.e. those that are only very far away. Any use of nuclear weapons could lead to a full nuclear war between NATO and Russia, a nuclear winter, Robach said. Experts have also examined other scenarios, such as a week-long nuclear war between Pakistan and India in 2025. These two countries have far fewer nuclear weapons than the US and Russia. But even so, experts point out that 164 million people could lose their lives in such a war, and more than 2,500,000,000 people would have no food to eat for 2 years. Thank you for watching my video. If you want more videos like this, you can like the video and subscribe to my channel.